Alright, welcome to the lunchtime video. So I'd like to start this video off with a huge special thanks to one of my commenters. So Caillou, thank you very much. He pointed out that the exam registrations are actually starting to fill up. Now, unfortunately, I had thought that they were open still, because if you go to the exam registration, you click on the expert level and then down to the exam registration for version 961. You get all the dates. So I was looking at these dates, but all I did was I clicked into it and I saw that well, if it will load, looks like it's having trouble loading for some reason. See if another date loads up faster. Oh, I guess I can't. Okay, well, I don't know why it's not loading. Maybe I'll try in another tab. Oh, here we go. So yeah, so I was gonna do on the 18th. Okay, now it's loading. And I saw that the registration limit was 4, and I saw that the number currently registered was none. So I was thinking I could wait the 30 days until this date and then register at that time. But again, thank you very much to Ryu for pointing out to me that you actually need to click in to register, and then you'll see the registration limit and the number of currently registered for that exam. And he actually went deep enough to look at the entire month of December, and it was all re-registered. So this date here, the 20th, is going to work for me. So I already signed up and paid the fee. So this incremented to a 3 because I'm now the 3rd person registered to take this exam on that date. So it's all coming to a head. I've still got about a month to go, so I'm gonna need to, of course, make the best use of that time. And the good news is, though, after this huge stretch, it'll all be over for at least a little while. I do want to keep progressing, but I'll be able to take like a month off before I come back to it. Alright, so this is the 6th video in this topic, interprovider VPN. So in the last video, I blanked out all the configs. I also did some troubleshooting to see why the directly connected interface subnet was not being learned on the other side when the loopback was. And the reason is because on router B, we were only allowing routes learned via BGP into the VPN, and the directly connected subnet, the one on ETH2 on router A, and which is also on ETH3 on router B. Yes, it's also a BGP route, but the directly connected route for it is a higher administrative distance. So that is the route that the policy that determines whether or not routes are included in the VPN checks. It won't even check the other one because it's got a higher administrative distance. Okay, so I'm moving on to the interprovider-ebgp example. So the so the last video I just blanked out everything, and then I believe I got the configuration done on router B. I'm surprised that, oh, okay, I see. I left the consoles open, so yeah, it's going to be at because the cron job's going to place it here. Yep, and I've got another cron job that'll set me up for the after work video. Now they did something kind of strange. They only gave the configurations for B through C, so I'm gonna have to figure out on my own what the CE configurations are, but that'll be a good exercise. Until then, let's just go and go quick and get all the configurations on there that I was given, and then go back and troubleshoot. Okay, so this is going to be router C. This is the help documentation. If I look at the active configuration, you can see it's been blanked out. So next step is going to be adding the configuration in. Okay, so here we've got labeled unicast. That's going to be the difference between this example and the previous example. This example uses labeled unicast traffic, but the previous example puts the traffic into a VPN. Okay, so these are going to be the core facing interfaces. So it's going to be 000. Okay, so we're going to need to come back and clean it up a bit because we can see here we've got GE001 assigned to MPLS. Actually, nope, that's going to be fine because we don't have a custom routing instance anymore that we're going to need to have a VPN. We only need to configure the default routing instance, so it'll be fine to include that on both sides. Okay, so got to have a local autonomous system. So we do have a EBGP connection to 1145. So if I look at the other router, I will be able to tell which it is peering with. So router D. Let's do a detach. Alright, now let's look at the configuration for router D. That will peer with the AS on router C, and then we'll know what AS that is. Okay, so it peers with 10023, so that's going to be the AS on router C. Okay, so I think there might be another error. Nope, yeah, because there's no VPN, we're not going to get another error for that interface being configured in two instances, the VPN-A routing instance and the default instance. We don't have a VPN-A routing instance for this example. We just have, we're just passing labeled unicast. Yep, time for router D. Okay, so this is going to be the internal facing interface on router D. So it's going to be GE001. Okay, so, and then, yep. Okay, and I think I might have, let's see here. Nope, yeah, because the MPLS gets both of them. That's because this is going to be a interprovider setup using just an EBGP instead of a second VPN. I think is how the other one was set up. I can check that in the help, but okay, so we're done with the protocols configuration. Time for the policy options. Okay, so we'll have the same error, but I do remember that it is going to be 10045, so let's add that. Oops, and it's not going to be show, it's going to be set. Okay, but that should do it. Before moving on, I'm going to check the configuration of the other example to see what differs. I think one of the main differences is there will be VPN VRF configuration on router D in the other example. Let's see if that's the case. So if I go, okay, so here's the other example. Oops, so nope, I was incorrect about that. In the other example, yeah, we've got the BGP keep all, so, but we do have family INET VPN in the other example. Let's put them side by side. So I think I'm better off putting them side by side in Notepad++. So if I may do that, please. Yep, okay. Let's go here. I'm gonna do line operations, inventing lines, and we'll move to another view. Okay. Yeah, so now we can compare them more directly. We've got BGP, all the same protocols. We don't have policy options now. Yeah, so this internal, we would be exporting. Here we're not doing that. So yeah, a lot of differences, I guess. I'd rather just keep trying to work through this. Okay. Alright, time to configure the next one, router E. Okay, and then for router A and F, we'll need to figure out what's required on there. We'll also need to do that for these routers because we're only configuring the things that are specific to this example right now. We're not adding IP addresses or anything like that, so we'll need to go back and do that eventually. But for now, let's just finish this up. Okay, so this is going to be router E. It's going to be the internal interface, so it is going to be 000. Same thing for RSVP. Okay, so here's where we have our routing instance. Big difference between this and the last one, I believe, is the routing instance. Yeah, I guess I'm not going to go into huge detail over the differences between the two. So let's see here. There we go. And now this is going to be the customer-facing interface. Okay, so this is one interesting thing to note. The 11 in the route distinguisher is the AS of the customer. It's going to be a different AS than is on here. Here the AS is 1145. So that's something I kind of had learned a bit incorrectly. I was thinking that the second value here, the best to use for that, would be the current AS that the routing instance is in, and not the AS that the customer is in. Yep, so we can see the pure AS is 11. That's the value that's being used up here. Okay, so it's not going to commit because I don't have the correct, or I don't have at all any config. Oh, so that's a surprising one. Let's see here. So I think I might have added the wrong facing interface to this. Let's do a show protocols pipe display set relative. So so yep, I added this to both. If we do a show pipe display set, you can see I've added it to the custom routing instance here, so it can't be in both a custom routing instance and a default routing instance. Okay, so let's remove it from that. Okay, so it's got to be removed from here. Alright, so we're also going to need a neighbor, or sorry, not a neighbor, we're going to need a, wait, what? Oh yeah, the local autonomous system. Must define local autonomous system when enabling BGP, and I believe it's going to be 10045. Okay, so everything is good to go with the configuration that we were given. Fortunately, we weren't given all the configuration. We are missing the configuration for the CEs. And not only that, we are missing the configuration for the physical interfaces. So let's figure out what that needs to be just by going into the devices themselves and hopefully get that done before the end of the hour. So let's work on this hole, and then we'll come back and do the CE. So we'll work on the connection between router B and router C. Okay, so we know that there's a BGP connection to router A. So let's actually go, let's work on router A to router B first, never mind, because this is going to be the low-hanging fruit because it's spelled out right in the BGP. So, oops, well, it looks like we do have a, okay, well, this is interesting. Okay, so we do have a local address here, so that's going to be the lowest hanging fruit because we know that's going to be the LO000 interface. Okay, and then to router C, we've also got a neighbor address, so we know the low-hanging fruit on router C is the loopback address. Oops, and I didn't specify a mask, but you don't have to in Juniper. If you don't specify a mask, it will choose a /32 mask by default. So let's verify that. Yep, and that's the mask I wanted. Okay. Now I'm not sure which. Now I think, let's see here. Yep, this is specified as 171. So the remote neighbor, I believe that's going to be router E. Let's see what the local address is on router E. Yep, so this is going to be the loopback address on router E. Okay, and I believe for a lot of these links, for these two links, I can just make them up to be whatever I want because they're not called out directly in the config for anything. So let's look that over a bit more carefully. Okay, so we do have another, oh, so this is to the CE. I'm just gonna do that right now. Okay, before I go over to the CE though, I know that my connection to the CE gets the .2 address in this /30 subnet, and that's gonna be GE001. Okay, so before moving on, I will go and configure router A. Okay, so of course I'm going to need to set up EBGP, all that sort of thing, but for now, I just wanted that on there so that the link would come up. Okay, so now I can just pick my own subnet for the core interface. Nothing is called out by IP anywhere in the config, so it's just up to me what I want that to be. So it's going to be GE001. Okay, so I'm going to go with 10.0.1.1/30. And then I will need to enable family MPLS on that as well. Okay, that looks good to me. Alright, so let's configure the other side on rudder C. It'll be GE000. Oops, and it looks like this was actually meant to be configured on 000 on this side as well. So let's go clean that up. Okay, so now I can delete this. Or why don't I just do this? This will be faster. We'll do a delete. Yes, and then instead of removing the config, we'll remove all the config and then add the config that's meant to be there. Okay, and now we'll add the config to the correct port and commit and quit. All right, so yeah, so now I need to configure this link here. That link, unlike this link, I can't just make up because it's used for EBGP neighborships. But the good news is it's all spelled out there, pretty easy to follow along with. Oops, and I seem to not be hitting the, there we go. Okay, so we've got, let's see here. Okay, so the neighbor is going to be 16, 20 divided by 4 is an even number. So that's the subnet, so we know this side's got to be .1. It's going to be .1. /30. Okay, time for the other side. This side will be GE000. Okay, time for router E. So this is just like this link here. I can just make it up. So let's configure the .1 address on router D. It's going to be GE001. Okay. All right, and then the other side, GE000. Okay, and then we'll need to configure GE001 according to that EBGP configuration. So here is the EBGP configuration that will be used for GE001. It belongs to a custom routing instance, VPN-A, and you can see we're calling out the neighbor 192.168.198.14. 12 is divisible by 4, so that's the second usable. We're going to be using .13 on this side. Okay, and then the other side gets .14 on GE000. Oops, 0. Okay, so as far as I know, we're pretty much good to go. We've just got a few more things left on the CE routers. We need to establish the EBGP neighborship, and then I'd like to add a loopback, advertise that in there, and see if we can ping end to end, specifying the appropriate source address, of course. So let's start with router F and add the EBGP configuration. Okay, I think that's all that's needed. I also need to specify my local routing instance, which is going to be 11. Okay, and then of course I will need a export policy. Oops, it looks like I've got a problem here. Internal peers. Oh, yep, I said it to type internal. Whoops. Okay, and then we'll do set export direct routes. Okay, and we'll do edit policy options, policy statement, direct routes. We'll do from set from protocol direct, set then accept. We don't need to make term statements, anything like that. It's just not a complicated enough policy for that. Okay, so yeah, that looks good to me. I'll commit that, and hopefully the EBGP. Actually, I'm going to do one more thing. Set interfaces LO0.0 family INET address 10.10.10.2/30 or /32. Okay, and now I'll jump over to router A, set up a very similar config. and hopefully I'll be able to ping end to end if I can. I think the steps I did before will be enough to stop this topic. If I can't, I'll need to do another video where I troubleshoot. Okay, I believe this was Autonomous System 9. Okay, and then we're going to do edit protocols, BGP, ebgp. We'll do run show int terse pipe match g dash. Okay, we're going to set neighbor 68.1 98.1/30. Oop, dot one. Okay, sorry, dot two. Set type external, and then I'll go back and I'll specify the PRAS, which I remember is 10023, and then I'll set an export policy. Okay, I think that's it. So let's verify the results here. So we're going to do a show configuration pipe display set pipe no more. Okay, so yep, everything seems good. So let's do a show BGP summary, and hopefully we're getting a established state. So yep, it's in established. Perfect. Okay, so let's take a look at the route. So unfortunately it looks like I'm not getting a route for 10.0.0.2, so we're going to need to do some troubleshooting. I mean, fortunately maybe for that. Okay, so I'm just going to open all the routers and then we'll go through one by one and troubleshoot them. I've got 10 minutes, so that should be plenty of time, hopefully. Okay, so let's check the BGP summary here. Oops, so it looks like we've got one in idle, which is interesting. Now the one to router A, that's perfectly fine. It's just we've got one in idle. Let's do a show MPLS LSP detail. Okay. No computed URL. Okay. Let's do a show RSVP session detail. Or show GP. Show route. So I'm not getting a route to those addresses. Probably don't even get one to, yeah, so. Okay, I think family MPLS has to be enabled on that other one. Let's try that. Oh wait, actually no, it doesn't need to be enabled on that one. It only needs to be enabled on the core facing link. Okay, but yep, here's the problem. I'm missing family MPLS from the core facing link on this router, which is going to be 000. Okay, hopefully that makes things happier now. Okay, so this is a bit presumptuous to check BGP because it presumes that RSVP is working, that the IGP is working, that the interfaces are up. So let's start at a lower level and we'll do a show route protocol direct and make sure we've got routes for each interface. And yep, we do. So both of these interfaces are up and good to go. The next thing, yeah, let's even just try to ping across it just because I'm sure it'll work. Oops, so there's the problem right there. If I can't even ping across the link, I can ping myself, but I can't ping across the link, so there's the problem right there. There's an issue with the configuration. Let's verify that. Okay, so on router B, oops, so it looks like, nope, so yep, I configured that correctly on router B. Let's just verify that configuration. Yep, we've got .1 on this side, so let's see what we got on router C. Oh, yep, so it looks like I just made a typo here. I configured the wrong address. Okay, that's the correct address. There you go. Okay, so hopefully that fixes everything. I'll check the top level, but as I said before, that's kind of getting ahead of myself. Yep, so that's definitely getting ahead of myself. Let's see if that ping now works. Okay, the ping works, so let's see if we've got OSPF neighbors. Got OSPF neighbors. How about RSVP neighbors? Now this RSVP neighbor, this will not show up if I don't have family MPLS enabled, but it's showed up, so that looks good. So yeah, I think everything's good to go for BGP to go into establish. Sometimes it does take it a little bit of time to attempt again to go into establish. I can always do a clear BGP since this is in the lab, but that's not always the best thing to do. You know what, I think I'm going to do that. Clear GP neighbor all, clear 3 connections, and now let's see if these connections come back. By the time that last connection, we know that that last connection is going to come back. We could have expected the other ones to come back, so we'll know there's still an issue. Yep, and it looks like that first connection is still stuck in idle, so there's clearly a problem there. Let's troubleshoot that first connection, because the fact that it's not even going into active is its own problem. Okay, so we've got a label switch path over there. We've also got an IBGP neighbor. With a local address specified, and that is the... Oh, wait. Okay, so it looks like I don't have a loopback address on this yet. That's why it's in idle, because I've got a local address specified that I don't have configured on this device. Okay, so that looks a lot better. I'm not leaving that local address statement high and dry. I've got a loopback set up now with the local address. So let's see if that changed the... Yep, so now we can have an active state for this peer because the configuration no longer has an error in it. Okay, so the next step is going to figure out why it can't go into open. And of course the reason for that, 10.255.14.171, is because, oops, oh, so now I can ping that. What about 177? Okay, 177 is still having issues. So let's t-shoot 171 first, because at least I've got a route to that. So I'm going to do a show route, see how I'm learning that. Okay, I'm learning it through OSPF. And through the, okay, so, yeah. Why can't it form a, okay, let's see here, so, 14.175. Yep, so that looks good. Yeah, this looks good. Family MPLS is on there. Huh. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it just took some time, so it should be up now. Yep, so I just didn't give it enough time. Oops, but wait. I'm confused. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I was seeing. Wait, no, there is still one that is active. It is this one here. Okay, so let's work on that one next. Actually, I hate to do this because I feel like I'm really making a lot of progress, but I'm out of time. I do want a little bit of extra time today. I've got a meeting ready at 1. So that's going to be the end of this video. In the next video, we'll figure out why this BGP connection is still inactive, and we'll get an end-to-end ping going, and then we'll move on to the next topic. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.